welcome to the King Student Physio podcast. My name is Damien Taylor, and this is the very first podcast that I'm doing, and just wanted to put together a little introduction for you and for everybody who's going to be listening to us in the future to see, to let you know what kind of format it's going to be and what we're going to be talking about. So first of all, just wanted to introduce myself a little bit and tell you the aims and purposes of this podcast, so that we can move forward knowing exactly what we're doing and who I am and why I've started it. So my name's Damien Taylor. I'm, as you can probably tell, a mature student. I've just completed my first year of Physio at King's, and I am interested in documenting my first year and my second year, my third year, my entire journey really, because I started my study in September 2020 when I started my degree. Previous to that, I was doing an access course, which I needed to get onto my degree. But I started in 2020 when COVID was hit, and my experience, as many others in my year, my cohort, are quite unique in the sense that we've been driven online, and we have a different experience to those really who have studied physiotherapy in the past, whether it be at King's or whether it be any other university. So I wanted to kind of document about that a little bit, and also kind of understand the transition out of the pandemic, the COVID hit pandemic that we've all been through as well. Another reason for wanting to start this podcast and do this podcast is really the way that I kind of see myself as a learner. I'm not going to go into the learning styles and learning techniques. Much of that has been debunked. I don't know if anybody still does that, although we are all a blend of learning styles. But I find it more fun. I'm not going to say that I learn best, but I find it more fun to learn in groups, in a classroom setting. I wish I could tell 12-year-old, 13-year-old me that was the case, and that I should pursue that and continue to work hard in school, which I didn't. But I can't, so that's why I'm doing it as a mature student. And I've learned that when I did my access course. I've learnt it from the times that I've been in King's, because as physiotherapists, as you all know, we had to be in, because it's a practical subject, so we had practical lessons. And I've learned that they are the best times, they are the most fun times when you're interacting with my students, interacting with my fellow students, interacting with my lecturers, and having real quality time learning and understanding what the degree is and what it is that we've signed ourselves up for. And that's the best. They're the best times that we've had in our first years, when we've been physically together, and when we've been interacting off each other. Now, we haven't been able to do that as much as we'd like, and I don't think we'll be able to do that in our second year as much as we would like either. So the opportunity really is there for us to kind of find other ways of interacting. We can do that on our WhatsApp groups. We can do that on Teams, and I think this podcast could be another way for us as a cohort, but also for the cohort above us who are entering into their third year, and the cohort coming in below us who are just starting their first year. They can learn from the things that we've done. They can look at the experiences that we've had, and they can develop those, and they can start to run with them. And then my plan and my hope is that this podcast does well. I'm aiming it currently at physiotherapists within King's, because that's what I am. But if there's any other physiotherapists groups out there who are listening to this, and they're finding benefit from it, then so be it. I'm not going to be precious about it. But at the same time, I'm not aiming for it to be, an international podcast that's gaining lots and lots of attention. That's not really the point. The point is it's going to be a valuable resource for us, for whoever listens to it. The third reason that I'm really interested in doing this podcast is kind of related to the second reason, but it should stand alone in the sense that I really like stories and people and understanding more about people, whether it be my fellow students, whether it be eventually patients that I'm going to be working with, whether it be my lecturers, whoever. And I think it's the stories that really help us drive forward. So I'm going to be putting a lot of focus on the stories behind people and what it is that they're coming into to the reasons why they chose what they chose, and so on and so forth. And that's going to kind of be a running theme within the podcast and behind the podcast, because I think that's the most interesting thing. And as we've learned this year when we're doing our history taking, what we're really asking our patients is for them to tell us their story of how they've got their injury, how they've got to the place where they are, how they have that condition, further down the line, how they've developed with that condition, what treatment's working, what treatment's not working, so on and so forth. They're just stories, and I want to kind of get into that with us, with the fellow students, and fingers crossed with some lecturers as well. I haven't actually asked anybody yet. I haven't asked any lecturers to appear, but hopefully I will get a couple of lecturers to appear. I want to hear some stories from them as well about how they got into physiotherapy. Maybe we could get someone who's got loads of, they all have, but loads and loads of experience within clinical work and in the clinical setting, and get some stories from them too. That's down the line. I don't want to get ahead of myself at this early stage. But this is just this introduction. I'm already at 7 minutes. Is basically just to kind of give people an idea of what to expect. And I hope that you enjoy the podcast.